Well, this is the International Yoga Day, and who better than Rajiv Bajaj, a disciple of Guruji B.K.S. Iyengar, to talk about yoga. As always, thanks a lot, Rajiv, for joining in. Last year you spoke about and you stressed upon the need for yoga to get rid of stress in your life. 1 year on, what are the kind of stress points that you had this year, and how did you deal with them?
Well, Guruji always said there is little we can do about the stress that is outside, and furthermore, all stress is a matter of perception. Again, it's similar to what we say in business. Marketing is perception more than reality. The world is a very troubled place, thanks to all kinds of people right now. So that creates its own stress. I mean, whether it was the markets around us like Sri Lanka or Bangladesh, whether it was some of the African markets including Egypt, whether it was LATAM, ASEAN, there was turmoil everywhere to different degrees. The second pillar is that of brands, and you will always have some brands under pressure at some points of time, depending on competitive actions in the marketplace. So that's the second point of stress. And the third pillar of our business model is our cost structure. Right. Costs are always under pressure for one reason or the other. It may be commodities one day, it may be forex the other day, and everything in between the rest of the time. So when one is trying to triangulate the business in this manner and keep it stable on what we call this three-legged stool of markets, brands, and costs, things tend to go out of alignment. And I think at the highest level, the job of the CEO is to ensure that things remain aligned at all time. So if there is some change in the marketplace to which you have to respond with some brand, and you are keeping an eye on your price or on your cost, you are always making fine adjustments to make sure the business model in that market remains aligned. So I think keeping things aligned is the job of the CEO, and as Guruji explained, alignment is yoga.
Strategy fairly defined, no problem. Execution-wise, where does your next leg go, literally and figuratively?
Well, literally, we have to continue down the same path of being a more and more dominant global motorcycle player. I think we've achieved a lot of success in this regard in the last 10 years or so. From virtually exporting nothing, we are almost exporting half of what we make. So we will, in this calendar year, we've already started that process, take some very definitive strides, for example, into the ASEAN markets. So we've just gone back to Indonesia with KTM. We're going to see that grow strongly. We've just kicked off Malaysia last month, in fact. We have an excellent response there. We are very hopeful. And in the coming months, we are looking, for example, at Thailand and other similar markets. We just entered Myanmar as well, and that's gone off well too. So I think that's one area where we are going to move one foot forward. I'm hopeful this year the quadricycle will finally see light of day. As it has in countries around the world, I hope it will become visible on the streets of India as well. So that's another big move for us. The domestic motorcycle business keeps chugging along, and we are hoping to introduce another brand or two, I would say in the next 12 to 24 months. So hopefully my leg is not all over the place. It all stays aligned and cohesively together. But it's going to be an interesting time for us.
You're a disciple of Al Rees's marketing philosophy. Positioning, you spoke about brand being one of the legs on which the company stands. Positioning wise, where do you see Bajaj right now? Because the competitive environment, it's blurring lines, is it?
Well, it depends. I think, again, what happens on the outside affects you on the inside to the extent you are vulnerable to it. Al Rees said, you have to find the future in the current activities. In other words, you have to take your current skills and cost structure and find better ways of making it relevant to the future. So, for example, when we take the skills and cost structure of a three-wheeler and make a quadricycle out of it, that's what we are doing. When you take the skills and cost structure that we acquired on a 100cc motorcycle and over 15 years develop ourselves to make a Dominar, That's a world-class motorcycle. I think that's what we are doing. So I think Bajaj's position will continue to be the same. We will continue to be a motorcycle specialist. That is the large volume business we are present in. On the side, we do have a niche business of the three-wheeler, which we are taking forward in the form of the quadricycle. And I think since we have only about 10% global market share on motorcycles, there is so much headroom for growth that I am convinced that the best thing we can do is stay in this position, to do this asana better, to perfect it over the years, and to become the best in the world in it.
Are you doing more yoga now than ever before because the environment requires you to do more yoga now?
Well, someone asked me what my hobby was. They said, your passion is motorcycles, what's your hobby?
Right.
I said, my passion is yoga, my hobby is motorcycle. So I will often spend a lot more time on yoga and also on homeopathy, which is something else which is very, very dear to me. And there's a lot of connect between that we'll talk about some other day. But I spend a lot more time, I think, on yoga and homeopathy. And when I can find some time for motorcycles, I do that.
Which is your favorite motorcycle right now?
I like to say my favorite bike is the bike that I haven't made yet.
All right.
Because that gives me something to look forward to.